show in the history of all of Spurs YouTube, you're probably already all thinking, Daigle, why are you in the coffee house? Why have you got 20 years younger? And why have you grown a big bushy beard? But unfortunately, guys, Mr. Daigle is not feeling well. So I am being Brian for the day. But joining me is our usual co-host on Ange-r Management. It's Mr. Johnny. How are you doing this morning, Johnny? Are you doing all right?
I'm okay. I actually thought that Brian did disappear for a couple of days, and I thought maybe he'd gone to Turkey and he'd had a bit of work done and he'd come back and shit. So
clearly he has, and his eyes have got worse as well, which is why he needs glasses.
Listen,
don't play with laser light surgery, guys. Don't play with laser light surgery.
We're messing around with AI at the moment, and it's very good. He's come as Ben. Listen, Ben, I honestly, it ruined my whole weekend. My whole weekend's been ruined as far as football's concerned. What with having to watch Arteta run up and down that touchline and Odegaard taking pictures like they just won the World Cup and the FA Cup, the league combined. It was a hard weekend for Spurs fans, I would say.
Most certainly was. We're going to go through the usual way. How do we run Ange-r Management? We talk about the negatives, the positives, the special mentions, and of course, we will eventually talk about the man in question, who the show it is named after, Mr. Ange Postecoglou. But let's see who's in our audience this morning to join us through the festivities. We have Shawnee Slater. Good to see you, mate. The Guardians of the Pumba are out in full force, and they're going to be around today for talking about a certain Richarlison as well. We have Corey Boy. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. We got Mark Swift. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. We've got Andrew Gregory, the #1 Ange-r in the world. We've got Phil P. Woo! Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Colin Cross. We'll talk about Johnson. Don't you worry. MG, Fran, Kate. Good to see you, lovely Kate. The sheriff is in the town. The sheriff
morning, guys.
And he's probably going to ask for a fly check in a minute. Benjamin Foster, good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Donny Rodriguez, Mr. Sweden. David D. Sinclair. Shem Tang. I am in Korea, apparently. Janice, Mr. Nick, and Rhythmic Renegade. Let's get into the show then, shall we? Let's get into the show. We were talking just before, and you had a couple of things you were talking about before, but let's go straight into the negatives, Johnny, because there are a few negatives in that game, aren't there?
Listen, honestly, just so people understand this, right? Okay, this is Ange-r Management, so it's all broken down. So we have to talk about the negatives. We talk about the positives, and if last week you saw us and we were being positive, that's because we're discussing it week by week.
Yeah.
But there is a common theme that's starting to run through at Spurs at the moment. Keeping possession, our football IQ, knowing when to. I mean, look, yesterday, right? Sorry, on Saturday, we just our management of games is just poor. It really is poor. Yeah. It's not a new thing. That last 10 minutes, get rid of the ball. Get rid of the ball. 1 minute, keep possession or try and hold on to the ball. We knew Everton were fantastic at set pieces, but that's their strong point. Okay. Yeah. So what did we do? I've lost count how many corners we gave away and how many stupid free kicks we gave away. I mean, before a game, you would discuss, look, Everton are great at free kicks. Don't give away stupid free kicks at the edge of the box. Don't give away corners. We know
corner after corner after corner.
Corner after corner after corner. And where was the football IQ? Yeah. Right. Vicario's under pressure. Protect him. Like, where was Romero? Aggressive Romero. I didn't see him pushing anyone around or trying to get in between Vicario or helping his keeper out. I didn't see any of them do that.
Yeah.
And yes, he flapped around. Personally, I feel that Harrison made absolutely no attempt to win the ball. Had he jumped in the air and that had happened, I would have had no problem. It's Big Vic should have done more about it.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean, the thing is, Vic likes to have the box clear so he can come out and claim for these balls. But Everton didn't allow him to do it. And to watch it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and every corner, the weirdest thing for me, Ben, was that in the second half, Everton seemed to have stopped doing that. I don't know whether
because they knew if they kept doing it, the referee would pull them up on it.
Yeah, I mean, the referee
showed that Everton were a more intelligent football team than we were.
We just don't have a great football IQ. We really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think there's only been, we just can't control a game.
Yeah.
We just can't control a game. I think to myself, the 2 games that we've controlled for 90 minutes have been Newcastle at home, and Burnley away. 2 games in the whole season. Spurs have lost 18 points from winning positions. 18. We're the only club in Premier League history to take the lead in 5 consecutive games, and in 5 consecutive games lose.
Yeah.
You know, we are breaking records. We are breaking all the wrong records. We've conceded 27 goals in 14 games. Only Nottingham Forest and Sheffield United. I think Forest are 28, and up until the other day, there were 30 goals that they conceded. We got 1 clean sheet in 15 games. The other thing, I mean, everyone seems to think, Ben. Sorry, I'm rambling here.
You can ramble. That's the whole point. We're getting the weight off our chest.
I just, you know, people saying, "Oh, you know, we weren't that bad." Well, Everton's XG was 2.5. Ours was 0.9. I mean, the facts aren't lying here. There's something for me fundamentally wrong. I just feel there's a naivety to our game. We're not learning. It's fine to make mistakes. It's fine. You know, it's all about a learning process. We've got a young team. But, you know, to see the same thing over and over and over and over again is becoming...
It's infuriating.
It really is now. Yeah. And I think the neutral fan, forget about the Spurs fan, I think the neutral fan now expects this to happen. I mean, look how many games. I mean, I remember, look, Man City, we conceded in the last minute. The FA Cup against Burnley, if it wasn't for a 97th minute block by Højbjerg, we would have drawn that game as well. Why can we not see it as a mental thing? Is it a tactical thing? I think it's a combination of all things.
Everything,
Sorry, Ben, go on.
My first negative of the game is sort of part of what you're saying, is being bullied. I know Ange has already come out. One of the things he said at the Brentford game, which annoyed me, was him, like, all the players going after Brentford players like Mopé and sort of ruffling him up. It showed that we're willing to be bullied.
Correct.
We are willing to be bullied, because in Premier League football, when they are kicking you, what you do is you make a meal out of it, and then the referee looks at it. If like every time, bad tackle after bad tackle after bad, reducer after reducer after reducer, and our players just get up like it's nothing, which I'm fine with. It's the spirit of the game. If everyone does it, we're thinking, brilliant, good job, boys, get them next time. But we allowed Everton to bully us. We were not quick. We were second to every single second ball. We allowed them to push us over. And that's someone should see whatever the player was that pushed Vicario for the goal. I think, I'm going to kick him. I'm going to kick him. When Ben Godfrey dives in front of Richarlison.
How is that not a yellow? Another yellow.
One of the worst dives I've ever seen. Romero should be thinking, I'm going to kick you. As soon as you get the ball, I'm levering you. Because if you start kicking them back, they stop doing it. We need to show that we have to be horrible. You have to be horrible. And we showed A lot of people have been using the word Spursy today. And that is what it is. Tidy, lovely on the ball, but we will do them, in the words of Roy Keane. That's exactly what
I want nasty.
You have to be nasty in some games. And we've got nasty players in that team.
It's funny you said that.
Being nasty.
It's funny you said that, Ben, because that also angered me, what he had said in that post-game interview after Brentford, because I watch Arsenal. Arsenal use every advantage they can in every single game. You've got Arteta. How Arteta is still running along the touchline. He's never in his box. Yesterday, we're taking a throw and he's standing next to them. The players are in the referee's ear. When they get hit by a tackle, they're rolling around, they're screaming non-stop. I don't understand it. Listen, I think a lot of this stems from the Chelsea game, right? Yeah. A lot of it starts from the Chelsea game, because in the Chelsea game, in that first 20 minutes, Maddison, they went through the back of Maddison twice. They went through Son. The players were getting irate. They surrounded the referee. The referee did nothing. And then what happened was what's his name? Romero gets taken out on the touchline and he does his David Beckham back kick. The referee doesn't see it. But we lost our heads. Because we couldn't get control of the referee, we lost our heads in that moment and we ended up getting 2 players sent off. But there's a balance, Ben. There's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance. I mean, why Godfrey? How Godfrey? I mean, I was at the Luton game when Basuma got the yellow card for diving and got sent off, right? That's a yellow card. I'm sorry. It's a blatant yellow card. He should have got... But there's a balance between lashing out and using your football IQ, right? And I think we got a young team that doesn't know how to use his football IQ in moments of the game, and it's costing us dear. It really is. I don't know. It's not just about Son, because a lot of these things have been happening while Son's been playing. So I just think that we can't continue. We can't continue to be bullied like we are. And now that you say, we've got some proper nasty... I mean, Richarlison's after them, right?
Yeah, Richarlison's nasty. Romero's nasty. Porro loves the tackle. Udogie loves the tackle.
Yeah, exactly.
Put your foot in.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, Everton, I think before the game, there's a tough place to go. It's a tough place to go. I think they've had 50 shots... 350, 360 minutes, they haven't scored.
Yeah.
They haven't scored a goal. And I don't think they've won in 6 games. I think they've lost 3 on the bounce coming into the game. It's frustrating. It really is frustrating. And I don't want to hear, I thought we played okay in places. No, we didn't. We didn't. For me, the Brentford game, where we were all celebrating the win, we played for the first 10 minutes, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay. We lost our way, and then we played for the first 7 minutes of the second half, and then fell back on ourselves. And we again could have been. I mean, just to go back, I don't know if you remember the Everton game at home.
Yeah. Yeah, they outplayed us the entire game.
Right now, I'm not being funny. Dan Juma had a chance to bury the game.
Yeah.
So the 90, I think it was literally the last kick of the game. So something's got to change. It really has got to change. I just thought the whole thing, our in-game management, changes. Are the changes making a difference, do you think, Ben, late on?
I don't think they are. I think they're unsettling the team. But we've got we've got 2 super chats from Adrian Shearer. He's saying we go mad if our players lash out and get suspended. But there's a way you do it. When Man City do it, are the best at it, or Juventus in their pomp were the best at it. You tackle people when they're nowhere near the as soon as they're starting to get a bit of rhythm on, put your foot in, take them out, stop the game, make it stop-start. You stop their rhythm. You've got to learn to do it. And Adrian Shearer is also saying Ange does not like the dark arts. We have to accept that, but
it's costing us.
we won't ever be a big team then. He can go on about how he's going to win trophies, how he's saying, "Oh, I've won trophies in the past." In elite level football, you have to use a bit of darkness. You've got to have balanced football. You can't. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. There is always a nasty player that's keeping everything together. What's your next negative, Johnny?
Wait, I think you said. I think you just made a very good point. And I'm not after a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm after winning games, and we're going to win the right way. Or what's the point if you're the only blooming team that's doing that, and the rest of them are following the other arts? Yeah. We're not getting the referee's decisions. Yes, because the other players are playing to every single advantage they can. Why aren't we going down when the game's going against us? No. Ange wants us to put the ball down quickly and play the ball, not when the game is going against you and when you're struggling, you're under pressure. Yeah. Go down on the ground, rub your leg, roll around a bit, right? And move on. I think our substitutions in in-game management, apart from Brentford, have been poor. I'm not quite understanding them. But I'll ask you, Ben, is this football that he's playing naive? Because is there only one tactic? And now there is only one tactic and only one way to play. Yeah. Are we being found out? Because it feels to me that every single time teams are exploiting us, there's a gap behind Werner or behind Johnson, whoever's playing on the left and the right. Just exploit it. Against Brentford, we were so inverted. There was like acres of space on the left and the right to be exploited. I just want to see some tactical variability in our game. And there doesn't seem to be. I've now started to call the man. And listen, don't get me wrong, right? I'm happy with where we are to where we were, right? Yeah. Let's keep focus on that.
Me and you will never agree on what we think of the previous manager, because I quite liked him, but you hated him. But if Conte was in charge of that game and we went 1-0 up, we would have won that game because we would have kicked.
We would have closed it out.
We would have closed it out.
Yeah, sorry. Go on, Ben.
If he would have had this team of those fullbacks, especially Udogie, because he loved Udogie, but then he would have won that game. He would have won that game because we would have closed that game out. We wouldn't have done. We wouldn't have consistently tried to play it out the back, which meant Everton put all their players in our half, which means we lost it, and it always ended up in a transition. A lot of the time, it was in fact Højbjerg, but that's not his game. We're not playing to our. Højbjerg is not someone that plays out the back. He cannot play balls quickly. So if you're playing to him, he's going to lose the ball, which means everyone's going to then go at Pedro Porro, who's not the greatest defender.
Are you allowed to say that? Are you allowed to say
he's not the greatest defender? He's brilliant going forward, but it's even worse if Højbjerg loses the ball in midfield, someone immediately can go at Pedro Porro, who's not the greatest defender. It doesn't work. You have to have jigsaw puzzles that work together. If you haven't got a midfielder that's great, holding onto the ball, then you have a more defensively minded right back who can defend. Because then what you have is you have balance in total. For me,
no. Listen, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, look, the transition here is quite extreme. You had a manager in Conte where there was fear. Players played with fear. They were scared of the manager. They were scared to lose the ball, and that's why we had those short little passes where it went backwards and sideways and backwards and sideways. And it felt like half the time with such a poor defence that we were sitting there waiting to be shot, right? Whereas under Ange-r, you must play with no fear. You need to take the risks. You need to take those risks. You need to be pushing that ball forward. If you lose the ball, don't worry about it. This is the next one. You don't see anyone reprimanded. You don't see the players shouting at each other like under Conte's period when they lost the ball, right? There was none, right? And those risks are costing us. And it's not Højbjerg's fault. It's not any of their fault, because that's the instructions of the manager to take those risks and play forward. But Manchester City, for example, they worked out we had no creative midfielder. So let's compress the team.
Compress the midfielder.
Because they're not going to be able to go over the top.
Yeah.
Everton just got at us. They compressed us. We couldn't. They stifled us. When you're playing inverted, come on, Ange-r. When you're playing inverted and Everton are flooding that midfield, you've got to go wide to try and find the space. They suffocated us. This is an Everton team. I know we're going to hear, but if they didn't have 10 points deducted, they'd be halfway up the table. I'm not interested.
You can only play who's playing you on that day. You're playing 11 men. You're not playing points.
Yeah, look, maybe I'm being overly negative, but I'm just talking about what I see. Not, football's a game of opinions, and not everyone's going to agree. But I just see eat, sleep, repeat, and it's becoming frustrating. Look, we are early stages of Ange ball. I'm just finding it really difficult to understand Plan B. Right now, I'm calling Ange Plan A. I'm not even going to call him by his name, because I can't see a variation. And he keeps saying, I'm not going to change. Well, there's a balance between obstinance and stupidity. And I'm just beginning to wonder, what is going on here. Yeah. Alpesh, I 100% agree. I 100% agree with you. I don't mind a variation on Plan A, or a tweak of Plan A, but we go regardless. Well, that's like putting your hands over your ears as a kid and not listening to any advice or anything even what you see in your eyes. It's not just the statistics that we're seeing here that are telling us everything that we feel. It's our eyes are telling us the same thing. Sorry, it's been a real rant this morning.
It has been. Do we have any more negatives? Do we have any more negatives before we move on? I know there are quite a few of them. There's going to be a lot less positives.
Well, why are we having so many? Why are we having more injuries than anyone else? Arsenal. Look at Arsenal's game. I've mentioned them far too many times today, but if you watch the game yesterday, look at their high tempo, high energy game they're playing. Right? There's no getting away from it. That first 45 minutes against Liverpool, they couldn't breathe. Right? Yet, but they're not having injuries. They've had the odd injury. Partey, forget him anyway. And they've had Timber, right? They've had a couple of 2 or 3 injuries. Could you imagine if Arsenal lost Saliba? So I'm going into the positives here, Ben. I'm slipping into the positive, because had Arsenal lost Saliba, Saka, Rice, Odegaard, their season would have fallen apart. It wouldn't be where they are. So for us, in a positive...
I'll bring up the positive thing. We can do it.
We'll go to a positive. So in a positive, the thing that's positive is that despite all of the negative aspects that we're seeing, the positive is that we haven't really played our first team this season. Okay? And we are still somehow or other in what I think is a poor league, right? I think it's been a poor league this season overall. I really do. That we are still hanging in there somehow or other. So let's hope that we can, when we do get our players back, move forward. But I am seriously concerned about our injuries, and let's be honest, if we carry on in this manner, we're going to have more. Sessegnon, I don't know what's going on with our team, but Sessegnon,
if this was any other job, Johnny, he would be taken to an employment tribunal, and he would have to pay the money in his contract back. If it was any other job, no other player goes to work and then doesn't work for 5 years. 5 years. My nephew wasn't born when he signed, and he's still here and he doesn't play. My God.
I mean, Manor Solomon's broken down again. You know, is our training methods, is something happening? I don't know. Listen, yes, all the clubs are suffering from injuries. We all understand that, but ours have been extraordinary.
Yeah.
We've had more injuries.
Me of remember when Fulham had Felix Magath as their manager, and they all complained about his training methods, and all the players started getting injured. This is what this reminds me of.
Or Bielsa.
Yeah.
Bielsa at Leeds. Look what happened there.
Bielsa at Leeds as well. There are so many. Do we need? I'll ask everyone in the chat this. Do we need to hold off the training? I know a lot of people, especially those that watch Celtic, say when you go really hard this year, you get used to it. In the second year, you get less injuries. So maybe it's just that transitional period. But for me, it's a bit ridiculous that all these injuries, and it's not helping.
I agree. I mean, Klopp had the same to a far lesser extent in his first season at Liverpool with that Genga press, that he adopts. But I don't know. There's something not quite right, to be honest.
Yeah. There really isn't. Let's go on to the positives. Positive for me is the problem is it goes.
Now we go to a commercial break.
Yeah, then we go to a commercial break. My special mentions are going to be things that in special mentions. So let's try and find. So we do play decent football when we want to. Even though we play poorly, we still do play really good football. We do have these patterns of play are starting to form, but it's going to take time. I'm going to bring up another negative. I never want to see that kit ever again. I hate that kit. I vehemently hate that kit we play in. It's the most revolting kit.
Is it pink salmon or light brown?
I have no idea. Apparently, it's cappuccino color. And I've got pictures of cappuccinos, and they don't look like baby excrement. It is vomit. It's vomit. And it's bad luck, that kit. I don't think I've ever seen us winning that. Have we won in that kit before?
I'm not sure. Well, listen, I think we scored more away goals on a positive. We've scored more away goals, I think, than any other club in the league. I think we scored 26 away goals this season. So that's a positive. And I would say if we've scored 26 goals away from home, there's a good possibility that it was wearing salmon. Yeah. I mean, shame it didn't smell of salmon. That would have kept the opposition away from us. But I think the thing is, Ben, no one understood Ange-r at the beginning of the season, and that's why some of the moves were so exciting. Now they know how to compress us. Yeah. I was at that Luton game. What was that going back?
What? The cap?
He wore it.
We won in that. Yes, we won in the cappuccino kit against, but it's vile.
I was there then, Luton, when that. I don't think people realise what a good win that. Well, now it's looking like a very good win, that 1-0 away win with 10 men.
Yeah.
Nike kits are going to change soon because we're going in with Jordan. We're going to be selling a lot of kits. It's not the kit. Fran's right. It's like saying, if you every time you come into the room, we score a goal, or when mum comes in, don't watch it. You're bad luck. It's all
it's all that stuff. It's rubbish, isn't it? But it's with football fans. We've got to be.
I've got to wear my socks with the holes in because I'm wearing those. We haven't lost.
But we're going to. It's not really a positive because this goes into the special mentions. So we will go to special mentions and we talk about players. I'm going to start with Mickey van der Ven. My God, is that guy good? He's £150 million in a couple of years. He is sensational, isn't he, Johnny? He is. He's everything I want a defender to be. The pace, the power, the quality on the ball, the weight of pass, his defensive nous. How good is this guy, Mickey van der Ven?
He's unbelievable. I mean, look, I saw his stuff. I remember everyone wanting tap sober, typical Spurs. They're going for Mickey van der Ven. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Tap sober is a very, very good player. But there was something about Mickey van der Ven. Watching some of the videos of him.
Yeah.
Did I know much about him? No, I didn't. I'd only seen, I've watched the occasional Bundesliga game, and I'd seen him maybe a couple of times, very quick.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen a lot of him. But when you look at, it's not the one. Is that Jordan Kit doing the rounds on X? No, I don't think it's. I think it's a mock-up, Bill, of the Jordan Kit. But there is a Jordan Kit coming out, and I think they're going to make absolute fortunes.
Oh, they're going to. Loads of people. I don't know if Has big up their Spurs Kings with Marlon, Has and Ashmatic. I know Has is a big fan of Jordan's. He's going to love that. People like Has are going to like. People that love the Jordan brand that support Tottenham will buy that kit. People who love the Jordan brand in general will buy that kit.
Well, they buy the PSG one. They're not even PSG fans,
Yeah.
But going back to Mickey, has there really been a better centre back that's come in from Spurs and made such an immediate impact? I can't think of one. I mean, he's got incredible pace, the acceleration to go past. Forget just the initial. It's the acceleration that he's got. His reading of the game, of what's in front of him. So having the pace is great, but having that combined with the ability to read the game, his composure, it doesn't look like he's straining. It's his composure on the ball.
Yeah.
And when he makes that slide challenge, that outstretched leg, it seems controlled. And for me, he's the yin to Romero's yang, right? He's the make weight, to think that he's so young. My one concern, he's such an athlete.
Yeah.
And in this game, with the sprints, the stop, the start, the sprints, the stops, the start, I would be amazed if he doesn't pull his hamstring again before the end of the season. I hope he doesn't.
Just need to keep his hamstrings warm. Just need to keep him warm.
Well, you're saying that, because if you look the other night, Crystal Palace were playing Sheffield United, and there was a break of play for a VAR decision. And you saw in the middle of the pitch, Elise talking to Eze. They were having a conversation for about 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah. The other players were stretching, warming up, keeping warm. They were sitting there having a conversation. Not even 2 or 3 minutes. Not even 2 or 3 minutes later, Elise goes off with a muscle injury. Yeah. Closely followed by Eze going off with a muscle injury.
Because they were too busy chatting rather than doing what the team wanted to do.
You've got to keep warm. And, on that night against Chelsea, it was a very cold night. And, we self-harm that night. Is there any other? Is there any? Right, so you've done Mickey. So I'm gonna obviously have to say the one player who I've had to defend now for a long time, since the World Cup, probably, when I told people that he was nursing an injury and he was carrying an injury. Yeah. He came off in that World Cup game with that injury. Yeah. But unfortunately, nobody was interested. Nobody was interested, because this fan base is only interested in what they see. They're not interested in the excuses. What I found remarkable was, no matter how many times I told people what was going on, no one was interested. Well, he was that injured, Well, he didn't play for quite a while. He was on the bench for the Arsenal game in February or February, whenever it was. But what I found interesting was that Sonny, who had a really poor season, he had so much money in the bank already, Sonny, obviously, that when he declared, oh, I had a really bad season because I carried an injury. Oh, well, that's it. We understand now. It's fine. But Richie was getting no such allowance, and rightly so. I understand that.
Yeah.
But in the summer, he went and got seen to in Brazil to have this fixed, and unfortunately, when he came back into training pre-season, it happened again. Right, someone's gone through the back of him, and it's aggravated him.
Yeah.
Old Ange being Ange and being the Australian, he's not interested in your niggles, your moans. All footballers have niggles and moans and aches and pains, right? Just get on with it. But it got to the point where he couldn't get on with it anymore. And he had the op. Yeah. And the difference between Richarlison, it's like he was a different player. He's not the same player. Those fans who are still unable to allow themselves to accept that this was what happened, that he's carrying an injury, he's had the op. Why can't you just accept that this is good? This is good for the club. Those two goals, if those two goals don't go in yesterday, and they were superbly taken goals.
Oh, if Harry Kane scores that Richarlison goal, it's immediately lauded up by Tottenham fans as goal of the season. That second Richarlison goal was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was superb.
Ridiculous.
It was superb. And he nearly scored one even better than that against Brentford. If you noticed, it hit the stanchion in that first half when we were shocking. But you know, the guy's now got 10 goals. Is it 8 in 9? The most goals scored by any player since December. I understand why fans were frustrated, but I knew what that player was. And I could see that player was not the player that was playing for Spurs. Look at the pressing. Look at the hold up and the touching and bringing. Yeah, I mean, his touch was horrific last year and the beginning of this year. It was absolutely terrible, devoid of confidence. You know, football's a game of confidence, and you know, confidence breeds confidence. And I've got to tell you, even the Richie that we're seeing now is not the best of Richie. There's more to come. You can clearly see there's still a couple of things that he needs to work on, which he is working on. Yeah. You know, how much would he be now if he wasn't a Spurs player and you saw him playing for another team and he was banging in these goals?
It'd be about the money we paid for him. It would be about the money we paid for him. Scoring goals like that from outside the box.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, seven games doesn't make a season, but you know, let's hope he stays fit. Yeah. And we should want all of our players to somehow manage to turn it around and prove us wrong. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to mention one more thing. I saw an Instagram post from him about there's a young lad there's an Everton fan. He goes with his dad every game, and Richarlison always took pictures of him before the game. Richarlison was his favourite player. Saw a picture with the same boy in his Tottenham card. He's just class. If you weren't won over by that, just how good a bloke he is. Just a really nice guy. Just remembers all the people that were there for him. He is just class. If you, let's find if I can find the.
They don't even talk about his charity work. He doesn't even talk about his. Yeah,
he's such a good bloke, and I'm really happy that he's doing well now. Let's see if we can find Richarlison. I'll find the thing. Luckily, I can do this.
Lord of Acca. There we go. Super combo by Lord of Acca.
Can I copy link? There we go. Copy link. We do things on the fly. There we go. That's the link to the Instagram post. You don't even have to leave the stream if you want. That's the Instagram post. He is just a superb bloke. And he's now.
Can you bring it up on here or not?
No, I can't. I don't want to, just in case of copyright and stuff like that. But I'm so happy he's doing well. If you've not been won over by his treatment of that boy, he's just the guy. Next positive. Special mention of players. Special mentions of players. I'm gonna put them both together. Our wingers are a joke in terms of tracking back. Our wingers don't track back, and that is not acceptable.
Let's go one by one. Let's do them one by one. Go on.
Do you want to do Werner or Johnson?
No, you choose.
I'm going to go Timo Werner. I'll go Timo Werner.
Coward.
maybe. But I actually quite like Timo Werner. His runs, I think he's aggressive. He's got to track back. And it goes for the same for Johnson. I'm not going to be total coward. They've got to track back. They have to. They are causing us so many problems just by not. But they're making Udogie and Porro's job a living nightmare. If they constantly have to, they can't do anything because they're so compressed again. Like you said before in the negative section, we're getting so compressed. Those two have to go both ways, and if they don't, we're going to have a world of problem. I think he's getting better. His attacking work is really helping. His runs, they cause absolute mayhem. But it goes back to where it was before. We're not finding him. We're not putting the ball in. We're not doing that one touch, bang, put it down there. We know he's going to be there. Put it through that line. He's got the pace to burn. And I think he can do well, but he's got to track back. What's your thoughts on them, Johnny?
I think Ange-r asks a lot of our wingers. I saw, we're talking about Werner, right? He was 27, coming up 28. I saw a 22-year-old Brennan Johnson at the Wolves game away. After 25 minutes, bent over, sucking it up. And I'm thinking, what's going on? You're 22 years of age. You're an athlete, right? What are you doing bent over? And then you hear Werner, after the Brentford game, being interviewed, where he talks about doing 6 50-meter sprints in 7 minutes or 10 minutes, and he was absolutely butchered. Right, he was finished. And I don't think us as fans realise, even for a footballer, how much these sprints are taking out of them, for them to track back as well. So this is where the likes of Pape Sarr and Bissouma come in. Okay.
Yeah.
And I need to highlight this because I don't have a problem with Højbjerg. I'm not a massive fan of Skip. Effort, fantastic. But I don't think Højbjerg or Skip, 12 it was. What's that?
I don't know. I have no idea, mate. I have no idea. 12 it was.
12 of what? I'm not sure what it was.
12 beers.
12 beers. The thing is, when Pape Sarr and Bissouma play, their job, which is equally as exhausting as the sprint after sprint after sprint for those wingers, is to fill in those spaces. So when Brennan Johnson's going forward, Pape Sarr, come on to the right. When he's on the Doji or what's them going, come on to the left, right? It's a hard job, which is why Pape Sarr, who's got an incredible engine, can get across those areas with Bissouma. You know, you see him come off and Bissouma come on, or someone come on to try and fill that gap. When they're not playing, we are totally and utterly exposed. Oh, 12, right, okay. 12 50-meter sprints, okay.
Yeah.
My point here is that, you know, it's the tracking back. Now, I actually like Werner. His football IQ is far greater than most of our attack. And yes, you're right. I don't think he's been found enough, but there are things that aren't quite right. You know, his confidence isn't high, a bit like how Richie's was. When he was one-on-one with the keeper, I mean, it was offside, but he still should have done better. He should have been able to look and place that ball wide. And I also didn't like the fact that when he was ahead, when Brennan Johnson got his one and only crossing in the game, Timo Werner should have cut across his man and he would have had no choice but to bring him down. He was ahead of him. I don't know why he didn't cut across his man, because it 100% would have led to a penalty. But he's had 2.5 months off. He's been off for 2.5 months, and he'd had 12 minutes in 2.5 months, 12 minutes of football before he came to us. Yeah. So I'm going to reserve a bit of judgment on his ability. He's got to understand Ange-r. But I expect him to do better. I still think Bissouma got my flies. He's got malaria. We don't want him bringing any of those malaria flies back into.
No wonder your flies have gone, Johnny.
Yeah, Bissouma's taken them all. So Werner. So okay, so let's talk about Brendan. Unfortunately, guys, it was Brenda that turned up again. It was Brenda Johnson. Oh dear. It's very hard. It's hard, right? I don't want to sit here ripping the kid to bits, but there's so much wrong. There is so much wrong. He's not coming short when he needs to go short. He's coming inside when he should be going outside. Don't come inside and be inverted when they're looking for width. Offer yourself, come out wide. The aggression in the tackle. I was amazed he came out for the second half. I've got to be honest with you. I was absolutely shocked. I was beginning to wonder whether he had images of Ange and a kangaroo or something. Honestly, I was shocked. He did put in a very, very good cross for Werner, as I said before, which Werner, I think, should have done better with. But that was about it. I just think maybe like Højbjerg, his best is going to come from the bench as an impact player later in the game. It's not his fault he cost 47 million. Yeah. Ange wanted him. This was Ange's player. I mean, if you look how much we spent on every other player, right? And then look how much we spent on him. You can see it's definitely one that Ange definitely wanted. And a little bit galling that Forest are naming us in their FFP appeal because, Brentford only offered 35 million that they'd agreed on. Yeah. But they hung on for us because we paid 47 and that took them past the deadline day. That doesn't fill me with any joy or glee. But 47 million pound for me is a player who is there, who's going to come in and deliver. And he's a work in progress. Yeah, he's a work in progress. You do
pay for quality, though, Johnny. You're paying for a longer-term career, but I do get your point with when it comes to Johnson, I don't even bring up the 47 minutes. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing in the game.
Not his fault, is it?
Yeah, it's not his fault. Exactly. This is what I say as well, Coos. Big up, Coos. He's supposedly the second fastest player in the Premier League.
Correct.
But I never see him sprint. Like against Manchester City, I said this, and I was on a panel and I was saying this, like, when you're up against when you are low of confidence, you do the basics of your game, and then you little baby steps and you build up your confidence. Take on your man. If he took on Gvardiol, we would burn him for pace. If he took on his left back at the weekend, he would burn him for pace. But he's not doing it. He's coming inside.
He looks so scared. He looks so scared. He reminds me of the old days, right? The old day football. You go up to him and you go past me, son, and I'll smash you to smithereens, right? Yeah. Oh, and then stop. Brian Gill came on the other day, right? And everyone talks about him when he get blown over in the wind. Okay, I think wasn't Brentford. I think it might have been Man City game. The Man City game. He came on. He went for 2 50-50 tackles, like his life depended on it. Yeah. I see a guy that's scared. His eyes look scared. He doesn't have belief. Push the ball past them. Have a go. Try. Yeah.
Simple is always the best way, isn't it, Johnny? When you're in that sort of way, we don't need overcomplicated football. It's very simple. Although we like to call Ange-r this, Ange-r that, this, that. his football is very simple. Go past a player, put the ball in the box.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
The basics would do. The basics would suffice, right now. I mean, since those balls he put in for Richarlison, I don't know how many games ago that was, 5, 6 games ago, whatever. I don't know what's happened.
That's brilliant.
Look, I think, the thing is here, right? I know there's a lot of people who will say, you defended Richarlison and you stood by him. Yes, because I knew. But I knew what Richarlison had. Richarlison was Brazil's number 9. You don't come from the favelas, right? Fight your way through and go through that and become Brazil's number 9 and not have something about you, right?
Yeah.
All I'm saying here about Brennan Johnson is I don't see hunger. I don't see fight. I see
another
fear,
thing about Brian Hill.
nervousness.
There's another thing about Brian Hill. He wants to fight for his place.
Correct. And I admire that because I know when he was here first time, he was really homesick. He had no real sort of friends. And so, it was a struggle for him. But, he likes Ange. He likes what's going on. And maybe Ange will see that as character and give him a chance. One does worry, though, that when Son comes back and Manor Solomon's back, whether or not, he gets his chance. Who's your next?
Next one is Kulusevski. I thought he was absolutely shocking. Yeah. Oh, just a
Do you want me to carry on Kulu?
Kulusevski, I've got to talk to a customer.
Go on now. I'll talk to you about Kulu. Right. So Kulu, for me, I started right from the off when we found out that Ange was coming. That said, for me, I don't think that his best position is out wide on the right, and I didn't think that Son's position is best, maybe under their system, wide on the left, 1-on-1. I mean, Son is obviously better 1-on-1, taking them on, but as age catches up, it becomes, much more difficult. But for me, Kula, as Brian calls him, Dejan predictability. We know every single time he's going to cut in on that foot. It's so infuriating. So I was calling out for him to go inside, and we will see the best of Kulu. I kept saying, bring him inside. We'll see a different player. How wrong I was. He's just not been that player. In football, you're given an opportunity. It might not ever come because, let's be honest, if everyone had been fit, he would not have get given that chance to move inside to the position he says is his best position as a 10 or an 8 or wherever he thinks he is. He has not shown, maybe one game, I think he's maybe shown that he has what it takes to play in that position. Even when he switched in game to this position, he's not shown himself. I don't know what's happened to him. That engine, that hold-up play. I mean, his game against Everton was so poor. He gave the ball away so many times, and to concede that free kick again on the edge of the box with a few minutes to go, I mean, it was just stupid. You know that you're going to be under pressure. It's a few minutes to go. Boot the ball out. What are you doing? I just find that he's. I don't know what's happened. For me, he's a young player and he should be progressing. If you look at someone like Harry Kane that we see, Harry Kane that left was not the Harry Kane that started as a footballer at Tottenham in his gameplay. He's not even the same footballer as he was before, when Eriksen left. He changed his game. We didn't have a creative midfielder. And Harry Kane worked on his game, dropping deep, trying to be more than that goal scorer. And he became a unique player with the amount of goals and how much creativity he had in his game because he worked on it again and again and again. And for me, Kulu, work on your weak foot. You're a footballer. You've got nothing else to do. Work on that weak foot over and over again. And when you're coming down on that right-hand side, so what? Have a shot on your right foot. We've seen it. He goes into the box. He's got an opportunity to shoot. No, checks back, goes to put it on his left foot and loses the ball. And it's like eat, sleep, repeat. And the funny thing was, although I wanted him to be dropped, I thought Everton was the worst game for him to be dropped from, funny enough, because I thought the physicality of that game would have meant that Johnson would have struggled out on that right-hand side. I think Johnson will be much better in a team that wants to come and attack us and plays more open football than someone like Everton, who are, going to come and stifle us. So, Johnson might be better against Brighton, but there again, we saw Brighton away, how bad he was in that game. He got put through 3 or 4 times and couldn't do anything with it. While Ben's making coffee, I will let's talk about the next player. I would have to say, I thought Romero, strangely enough, wasn't great yesterday. I don't know. He seemed very subdued. I didn't see Romero. I was just saying, Ben, moved on to Romero now.
Yeah. Cheers for that, Johnny. This is the problem with running a coffee shop and running a stream at the same time.
No worries. I thought Romero seemed very subdued yesterday.
I'm
not quite sure why. Even when the goal went in, the second goal, he just went like that.
Yeah.
Obviously he was disappointed, but I didn't see him picking up the ball and driving through the middle, or there just seemed to be something missing. When we were being bullied in that game, he normally steps up and you can normally see him, fire the players up or get in the faces of players who are noising anybody up. I didn't see any of that.
It's the captain's armband dragging him down. We said it can't. We've been saying a lot that it's actually calming him down, but is it calming him down too much?
No, I just think there's a balance with him. Look, we can't have it. We can't have it always. I like the aggressive Romero. I would rather he was that Romero. And yes, he gets sent off, and yes, he gets booked. I would rather have that, because now we got a Dragoos in that can come in and do it, right? But we were talking about aggression, and we were bullied, and this is the one game for me where
you
Romero
need him to put his foot in.
Correct, where we needed him to be the bruiser type. There are games, where it's a little bit more tick-and-tack of football, and it's a bit more ballerina type. Well, this is, you're going to play Sean Dyche's team. You're going to be at it, okay?
Yeah.
And so that, for me, was a bit of a surprise. And that's why, Mickey van der Ven was absolutely stand out to such a huge extent, like he was against Brentford, let's be honest.
It's really Colin Cross is just saying he's not looking forward to the Wolves game. We'll get forth to the Wolves game but it's just he needs to put his foot in. I can't believe I'm saying this about Romero of all people. Usually it's whoa, put your foot in, mate. Everton players are putting their feet in all game. You've got to do it as well. If in a game like that where tackles are flying in, the ref is going to let yours go. I know we can say, he's got a about him. The refs look at him for getting him sent off because they're looking for him. He's got a reputation. In games where tackles are flying in, you can be a bit naughty. And he's just got, again, it comes back to IQ, Johnny. He needs to kick someone without being seen.
I think our IQ, I've said this about Brennan Johnson, but, I'm talking about, as I said at the beginning of the show, for me, our game management is absolutely poor. It really is poor. We can't seem to we can't seem to get it together. We really can't seem to. There is times to attack. There is times to go down on the ground. Ange wants us to put the ball down quickly and play it. No. When you're under pressure, forget that, right? When you're under pressure, go down on the ground, hold your ankle for a bit. And then when the referee's about to call the guy up, get up slowly, right? Then put the ball down and then leave it for the next player to go and take the free kick. Slow the game down. Break up the play.
Take the sting out of the game. Everton fans will go.
We don't do that. And then the other thing we don't do is like at Brentford, when we scored the third goal, we eased off. No, top teams put your foot on your neck and they don't let you breathe and they suffocate you. And 3 becomes 4 becomes 5. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what you do. That's what Villa did to Sheffield United. They don't give them chances to come back. And, we needed that third goal against Everton. We really did.
Yeah. Absolutely. Any more special mentions for the team? I think we've gone through.
No, James Maddison.
Yep.
Maddison. I think a lot of people expected, when I was speaking to Leicester fans before he signed, we're talking about the injuries and stuff, because I always said, we needed a backup. That's why I said we mustn't get rid of Gio. Unfortunately, Gio's also been injured, but we can't afford to get rid of him because Maddison will miss 10, 12 games. I reckon he would miss 8 to 10 games in a season. I think he's ended up missing more. But when I spoke to them, they said, no, forget the 8 to 10 games he's going to miss. When he comes back, he doesn't come straight back in and hit the ground running. He needs 3 or 4 games before you start to see the old James Maddison.
Yeah.
He's had 2, is it now? 2 games. So hopefully we're going to start to see the James Maddison, because we need our quarterback. I liken him to a quarterback because his range of passing, he's that first time hit pass that you were talking about, Ben, to Werner, to Richarlison, where everyone's going, Richarlison can't stay on side because the pass is delayed. He's used to playing with Neymar and the likes, where the ball ping first time, run
early, run it early.
And I think when he gets his pass protection from the likes of Basuma and Papa Sarr, it will give him more freedom to get that ball first time and release the players. So I am hopeful that we will start to see, as long as he doesn't break down and we don't have more injuries, we will start to see the fluidity return to our attack, because we are not a fluid outfit, I don't think, at the moment.
We're most certainly not. But he still showed loads of quality in that game. The feet for the Richarlison goal, he is a special footballer. Yeah, when he is fit, he is absolutely superb. Hopefully, it's Everton, because without him, we do not tick. The dropping back, we're not half the team without him. Him and Sarr are our 2 best players. They are. Yeah. And that's another special mention. Pape, I'm really happy Pape Sarr's back. I'm really happy he's back. And hopefully it's the end of Højbjerg, because I'm fed up of watching Højbjerg. I know me and you will argue about this until the cows come home, but I think even you've agreed that Højbjerg has to be a bench player now. When he's better when he comes off the bench, because a stats brought in by MG as part of the negative section, we have not won a single game that Højbjerg has started this season. That's a damning stat for Højbjerg, isn't it?
Listen, one player doesn't make a team. I hear the stats are the stats, Jem, but we need to see stuff with our eyes as well. I mean, look, I remember not once, but many times, Ange singled out mentioning Højbjerg after a game as being the man who came on to calm. So I agree with you, Ben. I think he's better as a guy who comes on to control and calm a game, rather than the guy who starts the game. And quite honestly, had he come on for that game against Everton, we might well have
calmed it down.
We might well have seen it out. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the Burnley game in the FA Cup, he comes on in the 97th minute. He's the one making that block to stop the goal. you know, the one I'd like to mention, it's making me really sad, is Lolo.
Yeah.
When he came back from the first injury, before that arse Cash took him out.
Yeah.
He
looks
came
phenomenal.
back, he had never been away. He was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think obviously this injury, he came back way too soon. I mean, everyone was telling me that I spoke to, he won't be back till February. Okay. Yeah. And then he turns up and everyone said to me, you told me February, your information's rubbish. Well, it looks like he's come back way too soon. Yeah. I hope now he's dropped until he fully recovers. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, maybe with a couple of games rest, if we can rest him for a couple of games, we will start to see the Lolo that, because for me, a fit Lolo starts. An informed Lolo is, for me, it's Bentancur, Maddison, Sarr is my midfield. Yeah. Maybe some will disagree with that, but that would be my midfield.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, D. I also agree with you, Kiva. He's come back well too early, Bentancur. He's come back well too early, and he just doesn't have that. He doesn't have that. You know, that zip he has when he has that small bit of acceleration to get that space, get on the ball, turn, make that next. But he doesn't have that ability. It's sort of laboured, isn't it? People are getting onto him really quickly because he's got no one to pass to, because he's having to. It's really worrying, but still we have to play him, because if Basuma was coming back and he didn't have malaria, you'd say, all right, put Basuma in the team for a couple of games and let him get fit. But we've got to play it. We've got one that's injured and one that's got malaria.
we specialise in all known diseases. There's no flies on Basuma, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get on to the final section of the show, and I think there is no one else to talk about. Let's talk about the manager, Ange Postecoglou.
Okay.
And we've sprinkled it in throughout the show. It's like it's like a lasagna. You put a bit of bechamel, a bit of sauce, a bit of pasta, a bit of this. We've sprinkled in without the show the word naivety.
The Parmigiano. Yeah.
Yeah, il Parmigiano.
Well,
we've sprinkled it in without the show.
For me, look, we've played the least amount of games at Tottenham since 2005, I think. 41 games.
Yeah.
If we were playing in Europe right now, we would be an absolute mess. I think this fan base, guys, if you're watching, please give us a like for we need that for the algorithm. It's just the like button there. It doesn't hurt. It's not painful. There's 150 of you watching and only 60
Get it to 100.
Likes. Let's try and get to 100. It just
and most importantly, guys, after the show, if you agree with myself and Johnny, if you disagree with myself and Johnny, put it in the comment section after the. It really helps drive the engagement. We will message you after the show if we get the chance. Send us a comment. Put a comment in the comment section.
It all helps to grow the channel. We're trying to grow the channel. And the more we grow the channel, the more content we can get. So we really appreciate if you can do that for us.
Absolutely.
What was I going to say? So, if we had been in Europe right now, I think we really would be in a terrible, terrible, terrible mess. I don't know where we would be. I really don't. I don't believe that you can play Ange ball. I did have massive concerns about Ange before he started. Not the football. I mean, the football at the beginning, first few games. I don't think you can play this football in Europe. Looking back on some of the Celtic games, yes, he played well against Real Madrid, but there's a terrible naivety to his game, and there's far more top coaches and games and teams that can exploit our game plan. And those people who are saying Ange should get rid of Richarlison and these other players, I think they're missing the point. I think we need to add. I don't think we can go into Europe with get rid of Richarlison, what, and get one more striker, and then what, he gets injured? No, we need to add to Richarlison. We need to add to James Maddison. We need to add its depth and quality. If we're going to play this type of football and have this type of drop-off with injuries and stress, then it's our depth.
Travel as well, and travel.
Yeah, it's our depth that's killing us now. And if we are in Europe, which we're likely to be, unless we have a massive implode, like a Bielsa Leeds mode, where he wore them out and then they just fell off a cliff, then, and very similar, funny enough, to Southampton's first season under Pochettino, when they were getting used to, the training. And if you remember Spurs' first season under Pochettino, where they were all complaining about the training sessions and how hard they were. I just think that I'd just like to see Ange have a plan B, or just change it up. We understand. We like the bravado. We love the football. We love the fact that toxicity under Conte has gone. Those horrible press conferences which you dreaded, the horrible football that you had to sit there and watch, and you were never going there excited about the game. I'm even excited watching us lose. I don't enjoy it, but from a neutral fan, I think we are the most exciting team to watch in the Premier League. For the neutral fan, I think we've been involved in goals, 85 goals, I think, or 81 or 85 goals in our games that we've been involved in, which is great for the neutral. For us, it's not good for a dodgy ticker. It's not good for those of a nervous disposition. And we love it, but please, let's have some variant on it. Let's see a game where they're going to play in a certain way. Look at Pep, how Pep, he said, well, you copy Pep and you play like Pep. No, we don't. Pep is a bloody genius, right? That game against us in the cup, he knew we had no creative midfielder, compressed them, they got no one to break the line, they'll go nowhere. And that's exactly what happened. He literally strangled us. And I just would like to see our tactics evolve a bit under Ange. What do you think, Ben?
I agree with you. When we're 2-1 up, pass them to death. Pass them to death. Short, incisive passes. You don't even need to go in here. Pass. Because every time you make a pass, someone has to push, which is, you need to tire out the other team, especially when you've got a melting pot of a stadium. The atmosphere in Goodison Park was an electric atmosphere from the Everton fans.
Yeah.
You've got to pass them. You've got to take the skin out of the game. If you make the Everton fans tired as well, because it's tiring being on a terrace shouting, pass. Pep Guardiola, you brought up. He's done it. You pass teams to death. And when you do lose the ball, because you've got the ball the entire game, you've got energy. Then you press them to death, get the ball back, and then pass. Grind them down.
Same as Barca.
Yeah. It's what you've got to start doing. And I love that if they score 3, we're scoring 7. It doesn't always work like that. You can't score 7 goals in a game. Big up, Kiva. And I put in this 7-3 scoreline. Pass teams to death. It really drives them. It drives them to the sword, and that is worse than being sort of having a team going against you. If you feel like you lose confidence if you can't get the ball off another team. We have to do it. We have to hold on to the ball and preserve it. Because if we're trying to go for goals, we're using energy, we're using pace, we're using resources we do not have because we've got so many injuries. And we've got to start passing teams to death. And that's one of the things we're good at, passing. We've got loads of good footballers in that team. We need 100%. To start using it.
Yeah, 100%. It sounds like we're on a massive downer. Well, it was a downer to concede such a late goal when I would like to know the percentage of fans who actually thought that goal was coming, because I felt that goal was coming. And I felt that we just didn't do, we just didn't do it. And the substitutions just, again, are underwhelming. They're not game changing. I think I mentioned this against Manchester City. Yeah, there was no 70% possession. In fact, well, I read you the XG. Everton's XG on that game was 2.5. Ours was 0.9. Okay, so those are thinking we were unlucky. You know, we played. No, we didn't. We
weren't unlucky. Everton were the better team when they came to Tottenham as well.
Correct. And I think tactically, I think Thomas Frank did one on him as well. Yeah. You know, those substitutions. That was the first game for me where Ange made substitutions that changed the game. Basically. But listen, it is our first season. It's just, I just feel that I just want to see something different. Just want to see that there is a change when things aren't quite going right, or when things are going right, we learn how to handle the game and manage the game for those final 5, 10, 15 minutes. You know,
it's not asking to be in Chelsea's position, Colin. It's just we've got to manage games better. We are supposedly a big club. We need to manage games. You learn on the job. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. You have to, in this bit, you've got to learn on the job.
I'm not interested in it. With the greatest respect, you know, yeah, we could be Chelsea, we could be this one, we could be that one, but we're Tottenham Hotspur, and that's all that's all I'm interested in. I'm interested in, you know, the bigger picture of the game. I'm a bit of a football nerd. I'm afraid I've watched too much of it. I go too in depth in it, and sometimes, but I'm not asking him to, you know, to revolutionise and change his whole way of playing football. I love the way we attack when we got our full team out, but I just feel there's a naivety to our play. I'm not for changing. This is who I am, and I'm never going to change. I'm always right. We all know we're never
what we call
right.
people that never change ever. We call it. It's not good to never change. We said the same thing about Conte. Everyone's like, "Oh, Conte, he never changes. He never changes. He never changes." You could say exactly the same thing about Ange Postecoglou.
I agree.
You have to change. You have to change for whatever job you're in. It's like I'm sorry to use the coffee thing, but that's what I do for a living. One coffee shop does not work the same as another coffee shop. Even if you're working in exactly the same company, you've got to go client by client, location by location, club by club, and we've got to change.
Yeah, I just, you know, this isn't a get at Ange. You know, he's done some amazing things. The mood in the camp is
fantastic. We love him.
Fantastic. The mood in the stadium is far, far better. There's lots and lots and lots of positives. But, you know, this show, and when we go on these YouTube channels, our job, or you know, what we're on here for, is to discuss what is going on and what we see in front of us. And you know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, everything's amazing and you know, everything's positive, because it's not. It's not. But there again, on the swing part of that is, this is the first 7 months of his reign, and you know, we're nowhere near the finished article. Kuva,
I agree with Kuva.
I hear what you're saying, Kuva, right? I hear what you're saying. But we're talking about like tweaks, in-game tweaks, you know, when it's not going right, and game management to see out games. That's what we're talking about here. Football IQ when things aren't going well.
Yeah. We'll see. Have we got any final thoughts, Johnny, on Ange Postecoglou before we wrap the show up?
No. Listen, we love Ange, right? Don't get the wrong idea. That's what I'm trying to say here. But, you know, the show is about discussing what's going on and what we see. We all know we're 6 months in. We all know that it's the start of the project and they're learning the system. We all understand that. We're talking about seeing out the game, right? Better football IQ during the game, okay? And when things aren't going right, like at Brentford, you know, why did it take 45 minutes for us to change?
Yeah.
For me, you know, what are you going to do? Nothing changed. We didn't change tactics. He didn't call them over to the sideline like Arteta does. The whole team's going on as soon as there's an injury, and the whole team's running over for instructions. Nothing changed. Only in the second half did it change. I just want to see to be more proactive, read the game, and react to it.
Absolutely. We are going to wrap the show up there. It's been a very interesting show, a lot to talk about. And yeah, cheers for that, Johnny. It's you probably won't be seeing me on the next Ange Management. I'm always here to fill in and be Brian Jr. What have you next got coming up, Johnny? Where can we find you?
Adrian's got a super chat there.
Yep, we can read out Adrian's super chat. I was going to... Mourinho is the master of the dark arts and got us to a final. He did. But then he couldn't win games like Dynamo Zagreb when we were 3-0 up.
But the dark arts, Adrian, I'm all for the dark arts. The dark arts, but so dark you can't see them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Howard, thank you very much. The one that infuriated me. Now you've reminded me. It's just come to me. First 3-4 minutes of the game at home against Brentford. Okay.
Yeah.
Ivan Toney goes through two players straight, one after the other.
Yeah.
One after the other. Porro goes down. The referee's called him over. Ivan Toney over. He's going to get a card. What happens? Porro jumps up and he goes, "It's all right, it's all right." And he shakes his hand and he pats him on the back and goes on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Right? No, you stay on the ground, keep an eye out and come up to the referee and say, "What's going on?" He then goes and does another tackle straight after that and again doesn't get the card. Set the tone for the referee. Okay? Work the ref. Dark arts.
Absolutely.
You can find me here, Johnny H3232. Come give me a follow there. I'm having to build up my my Instagram account. Which Let's Talk Tottenham 1882 because I had 9,500 followers and unfortunately it got banned for a video of an elbow on Brian Gill, which I didn't realise was copyright. So if you get a chance, there's a link in my bio on my Twitter to that. So if you get a chance to give me a follow, or you'll find me here on Tottenham on Tour, or with Brian on Ange-r Management, which will be next Sunday.
Yep, should be next Sunday. And another quarterly reminder, please subscribe to the Coffee Company Tottenham on Tour's second channel with myself, The Coff. We're trying to get closer to 700 subscribers. So anyone that hasn't already subbed, if you can please follow that link, really helps me and the channel out a lot. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching today's show. We will be back tomorrow for the next installment of Cockerel Doodle Do. You got a catchphrase, Johnny?
Oh no! I just prue, and let's hope Pombo carries on scoring. I do fear, like many others, the fast-flowing football of Brighton and Wolves will either make us or break us. These next two games will
be tricky.
Vital. I love what he's doing at Wolves. I really do.
Yeah.
Can we get Pedro Neto, please? I mean,
absolutely. Please get Pedro Neto. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. And if you smell what the
come on, you Spurs
is brewing. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao for now.